What is up, Highway 83 YouTubers? I'm popping in on you. Yeah, that's right. I was just tinkering around a couple hours, putting in on the old Suzuki, getting that engine ready for replacement so we can truck around and enjoy the safari lifestyle. And I was thinking, I'm working, I'm thinking, I'm drinking, I'm doing all that great stuff. You know what it is. And a question that comes to mind that some of you ask me, text me while I'm wrenching is, hey, out of all the years of Suzuki Samurais, Geo Trackers, Sidekicks, all that, what are some of your favorite years? What are some of your not so favorite? Why? What years to avoid, perhaps? And really, there is no year to avoid. All Suzuki Samurais and Geo Trackers, Suzuki Sidekicks, I love them all. But a couple things came to mind. Now, as far as Geo Trackers and Suzuki Sidekicks, the very first years, the 1989 and 1990 models, those 2 years can be a real pain in the ass. So I would never say don't buy those years, but just know what to look out for. So those 2 years are oddballs, and some of the parts can be quite difficult to find because they are different than the later years. So you got your 89 and 1990 model. Those have a very unique, what people call popcorn injector system, which makes kind of a popcorn making noise on the intake manifold, and it got that nickname. You'll hear Myron refer to it that quite frequently. Many of those parts are unique to the system and can be very difficult to find. Not that it cannot be found or adapted to the 91 through 95 8-valve fuel injection system, but it can be a pain in the ass. The brake booster is a very unique size. You'll see guys searching for that booster and trying to order one from a different year. Does not fit for whatever reason. They made it smaller, and the bigger ones don't fit. The rear brake parts, unique, bizarre. So a lot of weird crap is going on in those 2 years. Again, I would never not buy one, but if you had the choice between those 2 years and something else, I might take the something else. But again, they run great, all that stuff, but some of the parts can be difficult to find. Some of the later years Geo Trackers, you have seen our other videos, the 95 through 98. If you've seen it, then you know you got the soft top hardware is a pile of crap, the black plastic. So that, especially if you get one with a hard top and you plan on putting a soft top on it, so you have no soft top hardware whatsoever, you're looking into $500. You're looking deep into getting the correct hardware and so forth. So you've seen us fabricating the aluminum and all of that. So those years, really just the soft top is kind of the downfall of those. So if you get a 95 through 98, be aware of the soft top stuff. But the 96 and newer, you have the OBD2 system, which many people like because you can plug in your scanner and what's wrong with the truck, and it spits out codes instead of doing the paperclip prehistoric Fred Flintstone Jimmy in there and counting flashes and all that. So the OBD2 system is quite nice. But then you also have your added O2 sensors, and it's harder to bypass the catalytic converter and strip it down. A lot of guys like the stripped down basic necessities of vehicles. So that's something to look out for. And personally, my favorite dashboard is the 89 through 91, because up on the passenger side above the shitter handle, you can fit a 12-pack of Miller High Life just crack right up on there. So I like the dashboard the best on the 89 through 91. 92 through 95, your dashboard, you got that delicate radio bezel and all your, you got some delicate stuff there. In 96 through 98, they improved the radio bezel to a much thicker plastic, so all that stuff's better. So each year's kind of got its advantages and disadvantages. And then, of course, as the 90s went on, more and more of the vehicles came with the 16-valve engine. 16-valve engine obviously puts out more horsepower and is quite nice. I would prefer that, but the 8-valve is still a good engine and much simpler to work on. So if you're a guy that's, hey, I just want basic. The 8-valve is easier. 8-valve could, if, again, we made a video on that, if you so chose, for whatever reason, you're a Floridian swamp master and you wanted to put a carburetor on, well, the carburetor you can slap on, piece of cake on an 8-valve engine. 16-valve, I have no idea what you do. I've seen guys, one time maybe a guy did it, but that's much more, you need more crack. So let's get on to Samurais now. Now, Samurais, they all kick ass, of course. If you got a freaking Suzuki Samurai, you're the king of the road, man. You're the king of the off-road, on-road. It don't matter. You're the boss. So you got your 86 through 88.5 models for the USA people. Those are all carbureted. All of those are pretty much straightforward, you know. And then when you get into the 1990 through 95, that's your fuel injection models. Now, the fuel injection models, awesome when they're working and you got all the parts for them. But let's say you jump into a fuel injection model, you need that ECM and it doesn't have one, or it's beyond repair. You've watched our video on repairing ECMs. It can be a real expensive thing to get into as far as getting the new ECM for the 90 through 95 Samurais. And some of your other fuel injection parts can be a little bit more expensive than your basic carburetor. But in the long run, they run better and better throttle response and so forth. And so most of the Samurais, you know, 90% of them are the 86 through 88.5, which was the peak Samurai selling years before the old douchebag, what's his name, Ralph Nuts Nader, shited all over the Suzuki community with the Consumer Reports crap. So sales drastically declined once you got into the 90s. There were very, very, very poor sales. So there's not nearly as many 1990 models, 90 and newer Samurais. So but the 88.5 model, you got your round, square vent dashboard, so that changed a little bit. Some people prefer the square vent dashboard over the round vent. I like them both, but for the most part, Samurais are all the same, other than the fuel injection, a couple tweaks here and there. I'm sure some guys, some of the real ass chewers will be like, oh yeah, they did this and that. And of course, they changed things, beefed up sway bars, changed the fifth gear ratio. They did a lot of stuff. But for your average Joe, just jumping into the Suzuki game, there's not a real big anything that really matters as far as what you're choosing. So those are some of the basics on those. And then when you get into the newer ones, Suzuki Grand Vitars and so forth, that's a whole nother ball game. That's probably just best suited for a whole nother video, you know what I'm saying? So if you have questions, comment on the video and I can try and answer some of those questions in the comments, or make a new video about other questions, about some of your other questions, and get into things more in depth. But for the most part, I covered some of the obvious things you're going to want to know if you're new to the game and you're just about to buy one and you have an option. If you don't have an option, I mean, just buy it. People are always hemming and hawing. You're going to lose the deal. Buy it and then deal with it after that. The parts are out there. Some are harder to get than others and so forth, but just buy it. But if you have the choice, you might want to consider one or the other with some of the information I had just given you. So hopefully some of that helps you. Thanks for watching Highway 83 YouTube. I gotta get back to wrenching on the old Suzuki and crushing a few beer cans. Yeah, thanks for watching.